Lombardi Sweep is back without our fearless leader, Zach Bruner, this week. So you have us three talking Packers football. Luke Reimer here, Trevor Land in the middle, Janet Wilson on the right, coming off of Christmas. Janet, me and Trevor kind of talked a little bit about Christmas, but how was Christmas for you?
It was chill.
Chill?
Yeah, it was for the most part. Well, we partied on Christmas Eve instead, my family and I. So on Christmas, it was just like a regular day, and then I watched the game by myself.
The game was an interesting one to say the least, right? Early it looked like this was going to be kind of a sneaky shootout. It kind of looked like Miami was controlling the ball a little bit, and then Green Bay's defense kind of clamped up at the end there. Three straight interceptions to end the game, 26-20 victory. I don't know where this conversation is going to go, so I'll ask both of you off the rip. Trevor, you can start. What initial thoughts after the game? Can't hear you.
Yeah, there we go. As always, my initial thoughts is that this still is not a playoff team. I don't care what the odds say. This is not a playoff team. Um, Defensively, they look completely lost in the second half. Congrats, they give up no points to a concussed quarterback who probably already has severe CTE. I don't see anything from that. Once again, tackling and crossing routes were a massive issue. Special teams without Keyshawn Nixon is a massive issue. The decision making by Dobbs was questionable at best. There did seem to be on the bright side a little more fluidity with the offense.
Yeah.
They did seem to be clicking a little more. But again, I just, for the life of me, I don't understand. I get Aaron Jones is banged up, but Jesus Christ, you're playing for your season right now. And if this dude cannot play more than like the 7 snaps that you get him, he shouldn't be active. Get Surely you can find somebody else who can be more productive or have more snaps that can play, and just give it to AJ Dillon, because if that's what you're going to do anyways, it doesn't make sense. So for that, it's nice to get a win in the short term. In the long term, depending on how the next 2 weeks play out, it'll be interesting to see if that'll really help them or kind of kick the can down the curb, so to speak.
Yeah, and Janet, I know that you tweeted out something this week about Aaron Jones. Are you kind of in the same mindset with Trevor? Is he banged up enough where he shouldn't play? I assume you want to see Aaron Jones more on the field more? Walk me through your Aaron Jones thoughts right now.
So, okay, well, I agree with Trevor though. Like, it was a very sloppy win, and I don't care. Like, it was too close of a game. And while I appreciate all these interceptions, there were so many more tackles missed. It was completely terrible. Um, yeah, no, I tweeted that even though, like, yeah, he's got a nagging ankle injury, he still plays like 100%, and he still throws himself out there, which is what you want out of a player. But like you said, if he's injured, like, might as well like take him out of there. Why have him there? Just get him out. But I appreciate that he still gives 110% even though he's injured, and probably more. He gives more effort than some of these players that are fine.
You're right.
So
And just to touch on his running mate, Trevor, we talked ad nauseum about him in our fantasy football show. But AJ Dillon has scored in 4 straight weeks now. He seems to kind of feeling back into that role that he was playing at the beginning of the year, kind of taking a majority of the second drive snaps, and kind of ending quarters. Instead of Aaron Jones, he has 4 straight rushing touchdowns. I think Trevor, me and you were kind of in agreement that that may continue this week. Um, Jana, do you think? I guess I'll ask you this. Just talking about Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, do you think that we see like a 50-50 split? Does someone see more than the other? Um, I mean, I don't know. Just to touch on AJ Dillon, 2 straight games of 11 carries for 36 yards. He had a touchdown last week, or 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago. So I guess Janet, are you expecting a running back split here?
I think we should just throw AJ Dillon in as at this point. He's not only is he on cloud nine, he just found out he's having a boy. Congratulations. Um, which I think is so fun right now. So, and we have nothing else to lose at this point. So might as well just throw him in there and let, Aaron Jones. I call them both AJs because they're both
Mhm.
AJs. Aaron Jones rest up and heal up a little bit for, in case we do end up making the playoffs. You want him rested up and healed up. If not, then he's got until next season.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And just to touch on Trevor's point there, the offense looked like it was a little more fluid, right, against Miami. They've won three straight games now, with AJ Dillon scoring in all of them. I don't see why they would go away from it. Christian Watson banged up in the game against Miami with a hip injury. He did not practice today. If Christian Watson doesn't play against Minnesota, do you guys think that's like a crushing blow to the Packers? They can't win without him, due to how involved he's been in the offense these last couple of games.
I don't think so.
I'm going to say yes, just because I think the margin for error is already so fine with this team. Like we talked about, Joe Barry is not going to make changes. And if he does, it's probably going to be too late. Um, I think this Packers team is already behind the eight ball. You take out Watson. You can't tell me that you trust Lazard or Dobbs or any of the other guys to catch passes consistently enough to beat a Vikings team um, that has everything on the line, so to speak, in terms of knocking the Packers out of the playoffs. So yes, but also at the same time, understanding it's more than just him.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. I think definitely not having the speed is going to be very detrimental to this team, whether he has the ball or not. I mean, you have to respect Christian Watson's speed. I think he's shown that in that kind of stretch he had there. I wonder how many deep shots Rodgers takes this game to open the game, to kind of open up the middle a little bit without if Watson doesn't play. That'll be a very fun thing for me to watch. But I wanted to bring up too Aaron Rodgers. It feels like every couple of games he has one of those throws that makes like, who else in the league can do this? That one to Mercedes Lewis, down the left sideline. He had a guy in his face, 36 yards or whatever. That was another one. I don't know if you guys had noticed that too. That was a very very fun to watch. And I guess Trevor, we'll transition to you here. Zach brought up that hopefully they can use Bo Melton in a speed role as they just picked him up recently, yesterday. Trevor, we talked a lot about him coming out of the draft. Is this something that you think has an immediate effect on the Packers? What are the Packers doing here? Why they pick him up?
I'd hope they use him in the special teams role. I think Dobbs is a fine player, but he can't give you jack shit in special teams. Some of the decisions he made on kick returns were mind-numbingly bad, especially with not having a ton of speed. Obviously, Bo Melton gets you 4.3 speed. Offensively, I don't know what he gets you. Obviously, anybody coming into a team this far into the season, not knowing the system, really, I mean, it's tough to put him in. Kick return duties seems to be where he would be. So I think that's pretty big. Obviously, get anybody with speed in special teams, that's great. But unfortunately, I think for me at least, that signals that they are less than positive or it's less than probable that Keyshawn Nixon is going to suit up, and that hurts because he's done so well this year.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Bo Melton out of Rutgers, seventh round pick, a receiver. Um, he's got speed, 4.340 at the combine. This guy can fly. Zach kind of alluded to it there. Maybe they use him in that Christian Watson kind of fly down the field role, and just use him as decoy all game. Trevor, I don't think you might be too far off the base either as a kick returner. So maybe this is kind of a pickup to kind of fill two needs. Two immediate needs. I don't know, Janet. Do you have any thoughts on Bo Melton?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I mean, at this point, we could pretty much stick him anywhere just to fill in because this team has been so stressful. Um, it was the Dolphins, but it's whatever,
Yeah.
honestly.
No, I agree. And Bo Melton was a playmaker in college. And he's probably not going to come in, right, and be the Tyreek Hill of this offense or anything like that. But just to have that kind of threat on the field, I think it works. It works wonders for an offense like this. One other piece that we can talk about this week: Dean Lowry went on IR, I believe. He's done. He's out. What does it? What if any effect does this have on the defense line? Of course, it has an effect. Dean Lowry's kind of been not a superstar, not horrible, just been kind of serviceable for the last couple of years. Um, Janet, I guess I can start with you. Is this an injury that you're worried about as the Packers are pushing for the playoffs here?
Has he been injured before?
I believe so.
No, then I don't. I mean, yeah, he's been effective, but if he's been injured before and we've been fine, then we'll be fine again.
Yeah. Trevor, you in the same mindset?
Looking back, looks like Dean Lowry has played every game since at least, I'm looking at snap counts here, at least week 9 of 2019,
Okay.
or week 15 of 2019, or no, week 9 of 2019. It looks like he might have played and just put up no stats. I don't have the snap counts for that, but I think it does hurt them a little bit just because their defensive line play has gone down. It was stupid to think that Kenny Clark could be just as good this year as it was last year, but his play is definitely taking a hit. And I think it hurts him because Devontae Wyatt needs some more play.
Yep.
I have nothing against Devontae Wyatt. I think he's going to be a good project, but this year he hasn't really shown a lot to impress. He looked decent against the Dolphins, but I just don't know if he can put together back-to-back weeks of that and if he can answer the call in a somewhat increased role.
And that kind of circles around to our talking all season about how the Packers didn't really have a ton of depth on their defense, I guess, at all, or on their team. Devontae Wyatt's kind of coming in with very limited experience here. I assume he can thrust into more of a role in this game. That's a lot to put on a rookie, right? Like this is a must-win game. You have to do your job here. Kenny Clark, I'm sure, is going to take a brunt of that work. Why wouldn't Minnesota throw double teams, triple teams his way all game? So I would imagine the pass rush goes down, and we know Kirk Cousins, when he doesn't get rushed, he can carve up a defense. And Trevor, you had mentioned off the rip with Justin Jefferson, Packers can't defend crossing roads whatsoever. I think that Dean Lowry may have a little more impact than people think a big white guy from Northwestern would, right? Cool.
Yeah, and at the very least, if the Vikings get into a situation where they can just run the ball, pound the rock, they have a lead. You have one less big body in there. That's a lot of wear and tear. You're not able to make as many subs. That's going to wear the defensive line down. That's already bad against the run. They're going to get even worse, and that's just going to make bad things worse. So
Yep.
hopefully it doesn't get there, but clearly he has an impact beyond what a guy who gets maybe 30% of snaps any given week would normally have.
Agreed. Totally with you. I guess we can hop into the next game. I know this is going to be a little shorter of a show. People are used to Zach yelling at players. I don't think any of us have much animosity right now, so I'm sorry that we can't fill that role. I don't know, Trevor. I'm trying to think of someone to get you going. I can't think.
I do.
Okay.
Mike McDaniel, go fuck yourself. What are Tua Tagovailoa might die. That is in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
I understand you want to put him forward, but it's very clear at every angle. I don't give a shit what they say. The fact that he has been ruled able to play with some of the things that we have seen on national TV that any normal person can tell you is not right, is horrible. He's a young guy. I mean, people forget, obviously, it wasn't a head injury, but he is coming off some bad injuries in college as well. This is a kid, and to be honest, and I'm not trying to shit on him when I say this, is Tua Tagovailoa's talent really that much better where you need to put his health at risk? It really isn't. I mean, Teddy
But
Bridgewater
I don't
can
think
do.
that's like for any player though.
I
Any
mean,
player.
I think if you're a team like the Dolphins, I think if you have an MVP caliber player like a Lamar Jackson, I think some fans could see it. I don't think they'd agree with it, but they could see it. But I mean, you look at Tua, and it's just not right. I mean, you put in Teddy Bridgewater, they probably win that game, and they're probably already in the playoffs. And again, we're talking about the health of a young guy. I mean, we have seen players. Vincent Jackson from Tampa Bay had it bad. It's just it's tough because we know what's going to happen. We know he's going to show up in the news. Unfortunately, 20, 30 years down the road, we've seen it in the past. Man, this dude needs help. He needs to be out for the rest of the season. I don't care what the playoffs say. It's unfortunate that a team is so incompetent and they will not be punished for it. It sucks to see, and I wish them the best moving forward.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you. Zach in the chat here, don't blame Mike McDaniel. This is all on Tua. Victim shame him. Tua's bad at getting sacked. He's bad at getting tackled, right? He just does not protect himself whatsoever. His head's kind of turned into a basketball at this point. Whatever happened to him, like suing the NFL? Did that just kind of go by the wayside? And I don't know. But yeah, right. I mean, I agree with you. Health has to be number one, right, in the NFL. Janet, sounds like you're on board with this. These guys are just too big, fucking fast, strong, long, whatever you want to say. I can't believe someone has. To be honest, I can't believe someone hasn't died out on the field yet. And I agree, Zach. Show some athleticism. Lift your head up the ground.
Well, on top of that, too, like obviously, we only see the plays, and I think it was pretty clear in that whole second half, Tua wasn't himself. Would you say concussion? Probably not off the rip. But this is what his like fourth or third concussion this season.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me there weren't any signs in a long ass halftime? Like, what are our independent guys doing? Devontae Parker couldn't even stand up straight and still. And Aguilar had to, yell at a ref to call timeout, and the NFL says, "Oh, we did nothing wrong." I think this is a bigger issue, and I'm glad it's getting highlighted. It just sucks that a guy has to literally get the life beat out of him for us to see it.
That's not a not fair point.
You know how bad it's got to be for me to be on Tua's side now? Like, that's how bad this has gotten. I like him now.
I guess we can go from Tua to Kirk Cousins. Going in the Minnesota game. I was trying to make a segue there.
I know.
I'll give you a segue. Just as bad as brain damage as Tua has, so do we get damage in the brain from watching the Vikings just slowly and surely become the luckiest football team of all time?
So let's get into that. Opening up, the Packers are currently favored 3.5 points. Over under 46.5. I believe it's going to be a warm week in Green Bay this week. I don't think snow is going to melt or anything, but we were, believe it or not, we were up to 30 this week. I think that continues throughout the week. Looks like for a game time, 37 degrees, cloudy. I'm sure a lot of eyes will be on this game. Keep the Packers season alive. I guess to me, to start it off, I mean, you have to make up for Dean Lowry, right? Out there, kind of blow it up. You can't let Kirk Cousins pass all over you. You did that week one, and Packers got absolutely fucking destroyed. So immediately, to me, Kirk Cousins is a guy you have to stop. I know that's easy to say, stop the quarterback, but really feels like with Minnesota, you have to stop the quarterback, right?
Yeah. This game is tough. It's really a matchup of two immovable objects, and an overrated, maybe not overrated, but a not very good Packers team and a very lucky Vikings team. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. And it is 3:00 on a Sunday, so that does raise some questions as to what Kirk Cousins are going to get.
Agreed. Janet, anything you're looking forward to in this game?
I hope we win. Damn.
Agreed.
I'm not looking forward to Justin Jefferson or watching Dalvin Cook. That's for sure. But I hope we win. I'm like looking at the stats right now, and it's not making me very happy.
Well, I mean, another thing, I think, you can't let obviously Minnesota's pass rush get to you. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, Rodgers hasn't really had much success extending plays this year as we've become accustomed to, whether it's on receivers, blocking, on him not making the right decision, whatever. And I guess a little bit of the top of those first two ideas. Danielle Hunter's obviously a stud. He'll be there. Eric Kendricks is kind of that the cat lurking its meal right in the middle of the field there. He worries me some, but I don't think Minnesota's passing defense is enough to go up in arms like, oh shit, Rodgers not gonna have a good game or anything. I think it all starts with the Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon thing going right, and kind of basing some play action off of that, especially if Christian Watson is not going to play. So I guess I kind of get my key to the game there. Get after Kirk Cousins. Do you guys have any keys that you wanted to mention?
For me, I think it's probably Kirk Cousins too. Obviously, I want to sit here and say stop Justin Jefferson, but we need to give some respect to Thielen. We need to give some respect to Osborne, and PJ Hawkinson has been absolutely lighting it up. If you can get to Kirk Cousins quick and early, he is just like Tom Brady. He will not be able to do a damn thing, and he will probably not be able to rebound. And if you're able to do that, Dalvin Cook. He'll never be out of the game completely, but the more you can take the ability to run out of the game, the better. So it all starts in pressure. And can they drum up some pressure with less bodies and Dean Lowry not there? I don't know. But if they can't do it in this game, in a must-win game, where the Vikings could take two from them this year, I don't think it's ever going to happen. So we'll see.
Yep, Janet.
I agree with Trevor. Can we also like not miss tackles? Because that's all that replays in my head is Jared Alexander just sliding across and missing that tackle. That's all that keeps replaying. So that if we can just not miss tackles and, like you said, just get to Kirk Cousins really quickly, that way, he doesn't give the ball to one of his star players. I think we should be kind of okay.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I know Trevor. I mean, we talked about it on Facebook, so I brought it up. I think this is an Aaron Rodgers game, right? I don't want to say like a legacy game or anything, but I'm sure this is a big one to him. He hasn't really been faced with kind of not making the playoffs this late in a while. Got the division rival coming to Green Bay, where I'm sure they would love to take the Packers out of the playoffs here, right? Justin Jefferson's 200 yards away from 2,000 yards. I'm sure Minnesota wants to get that going. This really feels like a Rodgers, kind of put the team on my back and do it. I don't know if he has the team to put on his back to do it, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we had 40 passing attempts from Rodgers this game, right?
Yeah, and I think Rogers obviously showed last week that he can make the throws, some incredible throws when he needs to off platform, but he also missed a decent amount of throws, and one of the most head scratching plays in the entire team and to all the fans last week was when he took that sack in Gold Coast situations with multiple guys open and out of the pocket, able to throw it away. I'm not saying that he's a bum by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm a little worried if he tries to do a little too much in terms of trying to wait for stuff to develop. I think we need the old Aaron Rodgers back, and if we can get that, nobody dices up the Vikings quite like Aaron Rodgers. So I mean, we know what's going to happen if he gets hot.
Yeah, and it seems like Zach's with us too. It looks like Zach's key to the game is to get interior pressure, which he says the Vikings center is ass. Um, take that word, Zach knows what he's talking
That's
about.
a direct quote.
Verbatim, right? Kurt, we have not talked about how much AJ Dillon sucks, because he hasn't really sucked. I'm wondering where you were when he did suck in our comment section. So next time he sucks, please be in the comment section. Also, he's only getting 36 carries or 36 yards on 11 carries, just over 3.5 yards a carry, which is still not great for the powerhouse that he's supposed to be.
Yeah, and if we believe what LaFleur said that Jones is a bad ankle, we should probably talk about how Aaron Jones has almost a full yard more per carry on a bum ankle than AJ Dillon. So
Kirk, please stay in the chat. We appreciate the debate. That's all I really have before score predictions here. I guess I'll start off. Maybe I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid, but I think Packers win this game. I think it's a Rodgers game. Rodgers, Zach, right on cue. Rodgers touchdown run championship belt. Totally agree. I'm going to
I
take
agree.
I'm going to take Green Bay 24-17 in this game.
Janet?
Wait, what was yours?
24-17 Green Bay.
I actually had 14-17 Green Bay, but Mason wins the game.
Love that. Love that.
Like I said, matchup of immovable objects. The Vikings are not a good football team. Their point differential is less than the Jaguars, so that's really all you need to know. And the Packers are not that great of a football team. Luke, you'll get this. We'll see if AJ Dillon can put forth a Fred VanVleet performance to end the year. After having a kid, there's something about having a kid that just makes people go absolutely nuclear. I really want to go with the Packers, right? Packers at home, a big game. You got to trust Aaron Rodgers. And I do. I just don't trust the rest of the team. Justin Jefferson is so goddamn good. It's
Okay.
ridiculous. And even if Jair Alexander is on him the whole game, we've seen him miss tackles. Amos has not looked good, in my opinion. He has looked like complete trash. The defensive line, I don't know what position group is going to come up. It needs to be a Kenny Clark game. I don't see it happening. I'm going Minnesota 27-17.
I feel
It's
like it's Russian roulette with us because you don't know who's gonna fuck up and who's gonna step up at this point.
we're not going to. Did you say Russian roulette?
Yeah.
Russian roulette.
I say roulette. Whatever. Zach, roulette.
That's the person teaching the future of America.
Hey, I'm doing a better job than some of these parents.
And that is the state of Texas, ladies and gentlemen. That's not okay. We need to talk about this. But yeah, I mean,
Trevor, before you talk about it,
Zach.
Kurt's doing 69-0. I love that. Zach's doing 27-24, both on the Packers. Anyone else listening, hop onto YouTube next time we're on. Hop on Twitch, leave some comments, talk to us. We would love to talk to you. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, this has to be a Kenny Clark game, right? I mean, if I'm not saying he has been horrible, but if he's going to show up for a game, it better as hell be this one. Because to Zach's point, if the center is bad, if you can get pressure up the middle, the whole game is flipped on its head. And the Packers run away with this. Like, if they get pressure on Cousins, there's no doubt in my mind the Packers win.
Totally agree. Anything else you guys want to touch on about this previous week, the upcoming game? I guess we can talk playoffs. I think Packers are at, 30% chance to get to the playoffs. And now they need to win out yet, and they need Washington to lose one more game to hop in that 7th spot. It'd be awesome if the Giants lost both of their games. Seattle losing would also be nice. But Packers kind of have a little easier. All five things went their way last week. Is there still hope here for this team to make the playoffs? Obviously, it starts with Minnesota, but let's say they beat Minnesota. Are you guys and Washington? We'll just say they beat Minnesota. Are you guys still confident that Washington will lose at least one and Green Bay can beat Detroit?
Can it go ahead?
I hope so. I mean, it's the Commanders. I mean, but we lost against. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know at this point. I hope so. Well, although even if we did make it to the playoffs, we'd probably be out the first round.
It's all right. I mean, that just goes to show how big those games are right at the beginning of the year, right? Lost to the Giants, lost to Washington. Those two teams ahead of the Packers right now.
Honestly, I'm just grateful we've made it this far.
Yeah,
I'm just happy to be here.
It's crazy that they're still after a 5-game or 6-game streak, 7 out of 8 games or whatever it was. Trevor, I think I know your answer on this, but is there any hope for the Packers here?
There's obviously hope. 27% chance to make the playoffs right now. They win this game, it jumps to 42. Washington loses, it jumps to 52. Pretty much assuming that
it's about
the Lions. The Lions game ends in a win, but like I was kind of pointing to earlier, I don't know, and this is going to sound really dumb. I don't know if making the playoffs is good for the Packers long term. Like this is the worst possible scenario you're in for the Packers, where I think at this point you have to make the playoffs. This team was 4-8 and had a really good chance to get a really good draft pick. And I think if you're able to hit on a draft pick and bring back the same team or close to the same team, I think you have a great chance of making the playoffs with a couple tweaks. But damn, man, if you lose one more game or you don't get help and you're ending the season at about 500, you go middle of the table, 16, 17, 18th pick. Boy, I mean, is there any really chance to improve? That's what I'm worried about as a Packer fan at this point. You either got to win out or you got to lose the last two.
And that kind of falls in line with what we had talked about right at the beginning of the year when when Packers traded Devontae Adams and
the third place team next season.
If Green Bay finishes third in the North, we could face other third place teams next season. While the Vikings would have to play Losers. That's Zach Silver line here. It sounds like. I just wanted to bring up too. The Packers are exactly in the spot that we kind of predicted them to be. Right? They didn't go all in and they didn't commit to rebuilding. They're just a team in limbo, and that's exactly where they are in the standings right now. Who could have saw that coming? But Trevor, I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. Would it be fun to make the playoffs? Make the 7th seed and you go to Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs. That'd be a very fun game if the Packers could squeak out a win that way. But yeah, I mean, if they make the playoffs, I don't have any expectations for them to win a Super Bowl or anything. Janet, I assume you're the same way.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there don't have much else. I know Randy was in the chat here. We ended our last show with a question from Randy. We'll end this show with a question from Randy. But favorite potato chip?
Hey, I've been eating those crunchers, those jalapeno ones. Those are bomb. They're so good. I've never tasted any jalapeno, like kettle cooked chips from Texas that are hot as those. That's sad.
Can't hear you.
I know. You have still not answered the question. You just said what you've been eating recently, which does not at all answer the question we have.
Those are my favorite right now because they're hot as hell.
Okay, there we go. For me, I think cheddar okie dokies. Nothing gets better than cheddar okie dokies, especially at class parties when you're in grade school.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're being honest, one of the most underrated chips that I think is definitely up there. It's tied between that, what Zach said, all dressed chips, and salt and vinegar.
Wait. What are all dressed chips?
What are all dressed
chips?
Like
everything on them. Salt, vinegar.
Gotcha.
I think some barbecue. They have basically everything.
Gotcha. It's like putting your soda in all the fountains when you're a kid. Get mixed.
Yeah. What do you guys call that, by the way?
Is there a name for it?
I don't know. We always call it mud water.
That sounds familiar.
All right, but Luke, your favorite chip?
I got a crazy one here. I like the baked Lay's.
Those are good.
Baked original Lay's are by far my favorite.
The baked Lay's?
Yeah. I don't know why. I think they have enough salt to
They taste like wheat thins.
The structure ratio. No, but wheat thins suck because they're like twined and twisted.
Yeah.
That's weird to eat.
Yeah, no, that's a good choice, and they don't taste like wheat thins because wheat thins is absolute trash. That should only be fed in dogs.
You might as well be eating cardboard with salt.
It's disgusting. But yeah, no, that's a great choice.
There's a good crunch to them too.
Kurt, what the hell is this conversation? This is a conversation we have all the time.
What are your favorite potato chips?
We close off the show with absolute chaos.
Zach wanted us to mention this week that Bakhtiari should be playing, which is a good sign. It'd be nice to have him in. Kurt, I agree. Zadarius Smith, boo, fuck that guy. You're not leaving the league in sacks anymore. Where's all the talking now, bitch? But other than that, if Kurt's not going to get into the chat here, anything else you guys want to leave out on?
Yes, I guess if the Packers lose this game, I have no doubt in my mind that Jordan Love should be starting week 17 or week 18. I don't think this ever gets to a blowout enough for the Packers give up. But if it does, Jordan Love needs to be in that game. You need to give him chances, and hopefully they get the win. But again, the Packers are in a very dangerous situation, Luke, like you and I said way back when the Adams trade happened. You do not go all in if you don't go all in and if you don't rebuild, you're in a very dangerous spot, and that's exactly where the Packers are right now.
Dude, I'm telling you. I mean, we saw it firsthand with the Milwaukee Bucks the whole entire 2000s, 2010 before Giannis, right? They wouldn't commit and nothing happened. I'm not saying that the Packers are that era of Milwaukee Bucks, but this doesn't work for teams. It never has. It never will. On that note, I can't guarantee that anyone in the world will be alive Sunday. That's fair. Kyle Shanahan's right. We wouldn't know. I agree, Kurt. There's no guarantee that any of us will be alive tomorrow. We'll end with that one. There's some deep thought for everyone listening. Hope to see all you guys back next week. We'll be back recapping Minnesota, talking with the Lions. Hopefully, we're talking about a huge matchup for playoff positioning there. If not, I guess we'll be talking some Jordan Love. On that note, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be back next week. Peace.